Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Vesper, and I thought I'd make a fun video today for you guys on how to do the Dan loop / infinite. And I better do this now before Capcom, makes a patch and removes it from the game. This video is basically for preservation, if you will. So I'm not gonna lie, guys, this loop / infinite is not easy to do. If you guys are like a hyper casual or you expect to just do this on your first try, it ain't gonna happen. It's probably harder than the Ga loop. It's definitely more impractical than the Ga loop is, especially on how to get into it. But if you're one of the few chosen ones, I will do my best to explain to you how to do it. So here we go. Now the requirements for this is obviously you gotta use Dan. It does work against every character if you use the right setup, and you must be using V-Skill 2. If you don't know how to use V-Skill 2 well, then oh man, you're in trouble. It's not easy. This is a very tough V-Skill to master. It requires a lot of timing. I would have to make a separate tutorial for it, but I'll do my best to explain it without the tutorial. Now, the first person that I've seen who's discovered this loop was Desk. He released a video on it, and then everyone went crazy, and then now it evolved, and everyone's finding all these different setups for it. So everything else past that are people that told me on Twitch or Discord or whatever. I did not create any of these setups, guys. I'm not claiming it. I'm just showing you what I've learned from it. Okay, with that being said, what makes this loop so hard is not the actual loop itself doing it, it's setting it up and getting it started. The reason is that Dan has to be standing in a very, very specific spot to start the loop, okay? He has to be plus 11 right after his fireball to continue it, and if you're not standing on the exact pixel, you can't even start the loop in the first place. So it's very iffy, and that's why it's hard to do it in a real match. But I'll show you some setups to put you in that perfect spot. Now, the easiest way to practice this is go into training mode and make sure you set the start position to right corner or left corner, whatever you prefer. And then on the guard, set the dummy to guard the first attack only. So first attack only, I'll say. And what you do is have the dummy right in the corner, and then you go light punch like this, and then you can start the loop. So it looks like this. And then you can start the loop. This is just the most efficient way if you just want to sit and practice this and not have to throw the dummy or get him dizzy a million times. Now for the loop itself, the inputs are very, very simple. It's crouching heavy punch, light fireball. Every fireball you do is a light version of the fireball. Crouching heavy punch, fireball. Crouching heavy punch, fireball. Standing heavy punch, V-Skill. Crouching heavy punch, light fireball. So the hardest part is the standing heavy punch into V-Skill into crouching heavy punch, because you have to use V-Skill 2. Now, if you don't know how to use V-Skill 2 well, just remember that it requires timing. You can't just like mash it every time. It's not gonna work. You actually have to time it and get it right. So the best way I can quickly explain to you how to time it well is that when you cancel into V-Skill 2, you're doing down V-Skill 2, by the way, the down taunt. It makes it easier because you just hold down and you press heavy punch. You'll see Dan do his taunt pose, okay? So you want to press the button just as the pose is extending out, like right when his hand comes out. That's your visual confirmation, and there's a timing, a strict timing to it. So the best way is just listen to the timing. I would just practice doing crouching heavy punch into crouching heavy punch like this. Just try to do this many times in a row. Just listen to the timing and pressing the buttons. Once you have the timing down, then do standing heavy punch into crouching heavy punch with the exact same timing. Now, if you see Dan's taunt coming out, most of the time I see people hitting the button too early rather than too late. It's actually quite slow you're pressing the button. It's quite slow. Remember, you're actually seeing Dan's taunt come out. That is the fastest way. I mean, like I said, don't mash it. Yes, you can do this on controller. You don't have to use joystick to do this. And yeah, just practice it, and then you can get started on it. And I'll make a tutorial on V-Skill 2 in the future. Alright, so let me show you guys the full loop here. And don't worry, I'll put the inputs on the screen for you guys. So you just want to get in this rhythm, and like I said, it's slower than you think. And you kind of want to go into a little, a trance, if you will. And just requires a lot of focus and concentration. Now, you'll notice it dropped there. So this is another problem with the whole thing. So once you get to a certain amount of hits, Dan will eventually get pushed back. That's why we call it a loop instead of an infinite. Now, there is a way to make it truly an infinite, where Dan doesn't get pushed out like I just did right there. So what you have to do is that after one of the fireballs, you have to micro step forward. I'm not even going to bother teaching you guys that. I don't do that myself. It takes forever, and that's on a whole other level. I'm just teaching you guys the basic loop, and it's going to be more enough to kill the opponent anyways. So right around when you get around 28 to 30 hits is usually when the loop is about to drop. Alright, so now you guys know how to do the loop. Now, how do you get this thing started? That's what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you two setups, popular ones, and yes, you could potentially do this in a match, even though Dan's stun is really low. So you have to forward throw your opponent in the corner and stun them. If you're in training mode, you don't have to stun them. Just don't make sure that they don't have recovery, like no quick rise. Or if you really want like the actual like test, you can do stuns on next attack and you forward throw them this way. So I'm going to show you the first setup. Now this first setup, it only works on average size characters. It won't work on super tall characters. The second setup I show you will work on every single character. But this one is the easiest way to do it for most players. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to forward throw your opponent. And then you're going to immediately dash forward and press heavy punch. So I'll show you what that looks like. Dash, heavy punch. This puts you at the perfect position. So what you're going to do is after that, you're going to jump straight up. And you're going to press heavy punch, medium punch, EX fireball. So I'll show you what the whole thing looks like. And there you go. You're in the perfect spot. I know, it's crazy. When you do your jumping heavy punch, make sure you hit the character right over the dome as high as you can. Hit him as early as you can. Don't hit the heavy punch deep or late. Hit it early. Okay, and that'll put you in the right spot. After the EX fireball, you can start the loop. You go crouching heavy punch fireball, and then standing heavy punch, crouching heavy punch fireball, and then you know what to do from there, and you go from there. So let me show you what this looks like. Beautiful. So once again, this is going to drop after around 30 hits. So by that time, just end it with whatever you want, depending on what V-trigger you're using. If you look at the damage, like I said, even if I don't do it as an infant, it does mad deeps anyways. Okay, so now for the next setup, this is the one that I prefer because it doesn't require a meter, which means that you'll definitely have super ready to go for the ender, and it works on every single character. It doesn't matter if it's a big character like Zangief or Birdie, for example. So let me show you guys how to do this one. So this one's a little bit harder to do. So what you do is the same thing. You forward throw your opponent and you stun them. Then you're going to dash forward and do crouching medium kick, standing medium kick, one after the other, and that'll put you in the best spot. So it'll look like this. Like that. You gotta do this quite fast. If you do it too slow, then your standing medium kick is gonna hit the opponent as they're getting up from the stun. Then you're in the right spot. Then you're gonna jump straight up and you're gonna do heavy kick. Now you have to do this heavy kick as late as you can. You have to hit them in the shins with this thing. Not the head, not the chest, right at the end. And then you're gonna go crouching heavy punch and you're gonna start the loop. So let me show you guys what that looks like. Okay. Looks good. Perfect. I'll be quiet this time so you guys can hear the inputs. There you go. Mad deeps. So guys, that concludes the guide. I did my best to teach you guys in a short amount of time. So good luck and congrats if you're able to do it. I mean, Dan's a show-off character at the end of the day, so I'm glad Capcom screwed up on this and let this infinite slide through in the game. So I hope they don't patch it anytime soon. And don't worry guys, I'll have the Dan guides coming out as fast as I can. I'm learning the character myself. So yeah. Till next time, guys, take care.